Well, hi everybody. Joe Goering again for another ATS Live Ask Us Anything session. Today I've got one of my seasoned recruiters with us, Holly, who's been with me for 7 years. So, Holly, would like to introduce yourself?
As he said, my name is Holly. I am a recruiter here at ATS slash career consultant, as I also like to, introduce myself as. And yeah, I've been with Joe here for quite a while, and I'm one of a few recruiters, but us alone act as a big group together. So I'm very happy to be part of this group and to
Good.
be talking to you guys today.
So, Holly had the idea of today. This is an Ask Us Anything session. So, again, I think that over the last month, we've proved every Thursday that we are doing this as casual as we can without any kind of an agenda of a message. So, whatever the questions are, we're always going to divert to answering questions. But whenever we've got a moment to just kind of talk about a particular topic. Today we decided that our topic is going to be talking how we do our orientations and the why behind it. So, Holly, usually the first 5 minutes people are joining the session with us. So I'd like to have you kind of start out of so you schedule a lot of drivers and you
Yes.
bring them in and yeah, you've heard from a lot of your drivers that we sure do things different than what they're used to with other carriers. So you want to share a little bit about what you think makes us different in our entire orientation and travel?
I feel there's quite a lot, but I'll try to touch on just a few so I don't overwhelm y'all. But a lot of things set us apart as far as what we do as a company. But in particular today, what we're talking about is the recruiting process and the orientation process. As far as getting you to orientation, I'm sure that everybody here has had an experience that was not too great. Hopefully you haven't, but more often than not, I hear all of these experiences when I'm on the phone with everybody. And I always feel grateful that I work for a company that allows me to make a difference in that aspect where, we're able to make sure that we're getting you from point A to point B safely. And also making it a smooth transition. That's always what I tell my guys and gals is, hey, I'm here to help make this transition smooth for you because, as we all know, changing jobs is not an easy thing to do, especially for drivers. You've got a lot that you have to go through. So from the moment that you book with us for orientation, we're making sure that you've got a great place to stay. We're making sure we send you the travel. I'm making sure you know exactly where to go. And the biggest thing is there's an on-call recruiter that's going to be checking in with you, not to keep tabs on you, but to make sure that you don't get lost and you get into your hotel safely and all of that great stuff. So
Good.
sorry, I might have went over what you were asking.
No, 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 no. There's no right or wrong. So listen, our recruiting department actually really spends a lot of time talking through what some of the pain points tend to be for a new driver coming in. So let's kind of start from the beginning. So we'll have one of you apply. So again, our audience are for the drivers that are with us, and we love having. Yeah, I want to say thank you to a number of our drivers that join us every week for these. It's nice to have that reinforcement from you folks, and we know that not everybody can watch the live session, but we know that these lives get shared with a lot of people after the fact. So just always make sure that even if you're watching this after the fact, if you've got a question, throw it into the comments. And the reality is, we're monitoring this on an hourly basis and making sure that we will independently respond to any kind of questions that come in after the fact. Okay. Um, well, thanks, Dave, and got a lot of our number of our drivers that are joining us already, and a couple of new folks. I appreciate everybody that's been able to join so far. Quite a few people have started to attend here, and usually it's about five after before these get rolling. But I want to kind of get back. I want to get back really quick to the orientation process. So our recruiters, just to give you some perspective, they probably go through about 120 to 130 applications every single week to find those few that qualify that we think that we're a really good fit for the driver we're talking to, and that we believe that the driver is a very good fit for us. So when we have that marriage and we believe that it's a win-win situation going forward, we want to make sure that that driver's experience from the time they've applied, they've been approved, and now they're getting ready to make that commitment to come to our orientation, that they get a treatment second to none that they've ever experienced with any of the prior carriers they've been with. So I think that starts out, Holly, like what you were talking about, is just very good proactive communication.
Yes.
But let's kind of talk it through step by step. What's one of the very first things? So I'm I'm John Doe, and I just committed to being a company driver for you, and I want to be in orientation on Monday.
So I'm going to share with you first of all that we have a brand new facility that just opened up in Porter, Indiana. Beautiful facility. We'll have information for you to on where to find that info on pictures and the facility, the hotel that you're staying at. So what I share with you right away is that you're going to be one of the first groups of people that get to experience this facility. So you're gonna have a great foundation to start with that facility, and the people that are there are great. You've got Sam over there and Terry. They're our coordinators, and we absolutely love them, and they're great with everybody, and they're there to help again make sure you get a smooth transition. So then I'd also share with you then that I'm gonna book you a car. We're gonna pay for your fuel. We're gonna pay for your tolls. You get your own car. We're not even before COVID, you had your own vehicle, and I'm making sure, let's just say that I was also the on-call recruiter that come that weekend, that I'm, communicating with you that you've got your car, I'm going to send you your money, I'm going to make sure that you know where your hotel's at, and you get your own room. So even before COVID again, you get your own room. You're not sharing bunk beds. I get people asking me that, so I'm throwing that out there. Sometimes I tease you and I tell you that you're getting a bunk bed, but I'm just kidding, obviously.
So what about the hotels? So what do you think makes us difference as far as the type of facilities that we're putting our drivers in?
So you don't have to worry that you're going to be put in something that is, less than appetizing or unsafe. Right across the road from our facility is the Comfort Inn, and it's a very nice hotel. The people that run it, I've been on the phone with them multiple times. I love working with them, and they treat everybody very well, and their accommodations are top notch. So I believe you'd be very satisfied with it.
Good. And I just want to add one thing. So Porter, Indiana is where all of our company drivers come to our orientation. St. Cloud, Minnesota is our corporate office, and that's where our contractors come for orientation. But when it comes to the orientation experience, we mirror each other. So whether we're talking about what's happening in Porter or what's happening in St. Cloud, the experience of the driver is the same. So the orientation staff that we've got, for an example, they want to know that when you show up on that Monday morning, that you've been fully prepped for what to expect that week, that you got a good night's sleep, that you definitely, you're not worrying about where your meals are coming from.
Yes.
Are we being fed? And let's bring up one thing. So, years ago, we made the decision way before COVID about bringing spouses. What kind of an impact? So spouses or significant others, what kind of reaction do you normally get as a recruiter for that?
Everybody's quite, excited that they're able to bring a significant other with, to come up with them to orientation, to even just help them take notes and to be there with that transition. It's comforting to have somebody else, ride with you up there and be with you there during orientation. Now, pre-COVID, they could be in the classroom with you. Now, because of social distancing, they cannot. However, we still accommodate as much as we can. You and your spouse will be getting dinner at the hotel, and your spouse or your significant other, whoever, will be getting lunch as well back at the hotel. You as the driver get, breakfast, lunch, and dinner starting on Monday as well. So we accommodate, very particular to that.
And by the way, there's a number of folks that are just saying hi, and sure, I remember who you are, and I can't wait for you when you're ready to get back on the road. And Kermit, my friend, thanks for joining us a couple of weeks ago for our Facebook Live a few weeks ago. So, and Dave, no, I'm never going to sell cars. So, really quick, getting back to the topic at hand. So, orientation, it's a big word, but so again, from the day that you've committed to coming to our driver orientation, we want you to know that we want to remove any barriers that doesn't make the entire experience just flawless. There shouldn't be any, hey, I got left stranded, I wasn't sure where to go. I ended up getting a bigger vehicle than I was promised. I don't know if you mentioned this, Holly, but you had talked about car rentals, but we also give our drivers the option to be able to take a flight. So you're not going to be coming up on a Greyhound bus. You're not going to be sharing rides. So we really try to book your travel based on what's most convenient for you. Sometimes you're getting out of a truck and you got to load everything, including the kitchen sink, to come, from the truck you're in into a new truck. So we understand that there's some dynamics. So we try to take our time to really make sure that we're treating you as an individual coming in and looking at your circumstances. But we just want you to know, no money coming out of your pocket, that that when you get checked in, there's going to be no surprises, that while you're here, you're going to be lodged, you're going to be fed very well. And coming in as a van driver, it's a 3-day orientation.
Yes.
Coming in as a flatbed specialized driver, it's a 4-day orientation. And you know, I'm going to hit a kind of a, I guess one of the points that gets a little frustrating for some drivers, but Holly, you want to hold up your checklist of everything we cover with our drivers when they come to orientation?
I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody, but this is just to make sure, again, that everything goes smooth for you. So we're covering all the bases. So things like where you're picking your car up at, making sure you've got the documentation you need once you get to orientation, and a number of things. But I promise I don't read this whole list out to you. I pick out some of the things on here that are most prominent to you. So I'm not gonna call you every day and be like, where's all this stuff? But most of it's for
Yeah,
me.
you will. Yeah, I've heard you holler. But again, never get frustrated at the recruiters, because honestly, all they're trying to do is to make sure that when you're getting into orientation, there's not something that was preventable that causes you to have to react and start making phone calls because we didn't tell you. So we try to save that pain for Friday afternoons when we're doing the final travel to orientation. But at the end of the day, just know that we're asking all of these things up front to try to make sure that when you get into the orientation class, that again, there's absolutely no surprises.
Right.
So Kermit, you had asked how much extra training can a new driver do? Example: securement, location, routing, etc. So as a 30-year vet of ours, Kermit, I appreciate you asking that questions for any new drivers that are looking at it. On the original training, we've spent a little bit of time, I think it was last week, talking about a driver that has never pulled an open deck, flatbed, single drop. They've either pulled tanker, they've pulled a 53-foot dry van their whole life, but they've never done the open deck. So that's what that extra day of training is for. So you're going to do one full day of additional securement. It's actually a day and a half of additional securement training when you're with us. But when you're done with that, the training doesn't stop. We've got a program called the Picture Program, and for every single load that you do, I think they do it case by case based on how quickly you're learning it. But for about the first 30 to 60 days, every time that you go to a new load, you basically take pictures of how you've secured it. We have a safety department that's available to you for 24/7 to just make sure that everything's tied down properly, going through the securement requirements. And that's how you start gaining your experience. But Kermit, you know better than anybody, our own drivers are our newest drivers' best asset. You guys then, continually work to try to help the new flatbedder, get really confident and comfortable in how we train that to make sure that there's never any kind of an issue with something going wrong when you've secured that load. Probably one of the biggest things that ATS is known for is the career path and the way that we do train our drivers. Because think about this though, any brand new flatbedder that comes on board with us, you're starting out in a 5-axle trailer, tractor trailer combination. At ATS, we can grow you all the way up to a 19-axle combination. That doesn't happen overnight, but there's no better training ground than what we've got here.
Yes, I get asked about the career path all the time for that, and it amazes people when I explain to them that we want you to succeed here and we want you to advance and challenge yourself. We're never going to push you to do anything you're not comfortable with, but that career path is there, and the point is it's not there with a lot of other companies, which is why we end up with those people here, because we're offering that as an opportunity, and there's a lot of people excited about it.
Yep, very good points. And to end up on that question, Kermit, about the training, so do know that we've got a full safety department that the minute that you've certified with ATS, they want to hear from you, either through our ATS mobile app, through our Qualcomm system, with coverage that's 24/7, just like every one of our departments has. They want your phone calls. They don't get frustrated. They don't get aggravated with those extra phone calls. They'd rather get the phone calls or the Qualcomm messages for them to be able to help walk you through what your questions are. So yeah, just realize that we may look like a small company, but we've got over 500 employees in this building that are here specifically for the success of our drivers. So, Ella, appreciate your comment. So, what's your average CPM? So, I'm going to assume that you're asking that as a company driver. So, obviously, our CPM across the board is pretty darn good. But me and Holly were just talking about something that I'm very proud to share. Kind of, you guys are for the first ones to hear this, but we've got a program that's called Upside Pay. So our rock bottom, just for the record, to answer your question, Ella, is 50 cents on our van division, 55 cents on our flatbed division. But our Upside Pay program sounds confusing, but it's actually really simple. We're about one of the only companies that we're aware of that offers all of our company drivers to either get paid cents per mile, because it might be a lower paying load, but if we're getting paid well, which the market has been doing fantastic for the last year and a half for sure, we had always been saying it's about 65 cents that our drivers are making. The last 4 weeks, we've been exceeding 70 cents. I'm scared to even say that we've had a week where it was like high 70s, low 80s. But we want you to know that our drivers right now, they're not making less than, we used to always say less than 65 cents. The truth over the last couple of months is showing that they're not making less than 70 cents. And the way that proves itself, so Holly, you and I were talking earlier about
Yes.
a lot of these folks think that they got to go drive 2,500 or 3,000 miles. With this Upside Pay program, the key part to understand is you either get paid your CPM or 24% of what Anderson is being paid on that load. That's what makes that big spread. There might be freight that you're hauling to where, the last load you did was 55 cents, and then all of a sudden you get 24% of the load that's being offered, and that might turn out to be 82 cents a mile. And when it's all said and done, that average for that week period right now is 65 cents is what you'll see on all of our Facebook or on all of our websites and all of that. But that true number has actually grown to over 70 cents. So I hope that answers your questions. But Ella, what I will tell you is we'll come back and we'll send you a message after the Facebook Live and make sure that we can get you on the phone and actually show you a link that actually walks you exactly through how this program works, so it's not quite as complicated. So.
Alan's got a really good question as well.
Yeah, please.
How long does it take to get to oversized loads? You're going to be able to take advantage of those oversized loads as soon as they're available coming on as a class 4. 20% of what ATS does is oversized. The bulk of it is legal, but we're not going to, punish you as a new driver coming on or as a class 4 by not letting you have that opportunity right away. You're gonna, as soon as it's available and you let your fleet manager know you're interested in oversized loads, once they have one and you're comfortable with it, then you can start off right out of the gate.
Hey, and Alan, I want to add to that. So I think it's important for you to know this, but I've been with Anderson for over 30 years, and so I've seen the freight conditions decade over decade roll. So like any freight, oversized freight is seasonal, just like household goods are seasonal and produce is seasonal. So there are times in the year where half of our freight is overdimensional, and then there's other times that it's about 15%. It's, right now with COVID, we're actually expecting a pretty big surge because so many of the big manufacturing companies, the Caterpillars of the world, the John Deeres of the world, a lot of the big equipment that we were always hauling before that had to shut down because the parts aren't available or they can't go into production, we're expecting a really nice spike in the overdimensional freight. So as a brand new class 4 driver, you probably don't know what that means. So
sorry.
No, that's okay. So a class 4, why don't you explain the class 4 versus to class 1 and how that works with dimensional, Holly?
Yeah, so that would be the actual career, path and structure is you come in at what we say a class 4, and that, what that means is you're able to haul up to a certain, weight and up to a certain width.
So what is that width? Do you know?
The width would be, I believe it's
10.
10, I think it is 10,
10
isn't
feet.
it? Yeah.
Yep.
I got flustered because I'm on camera. And then
Really?
I did. You got me. I repeat this stuff every day. And then once you have hauled so many loads in that class, then you get to test into the next class, which now you're also able to haul a little bit also long and also height wise. So legal height 13.6, you're gonna be able to go up a little bit from there, and also in conjunction with now the overweight and also the width. So, and then you just keep on testing into the next class, and each time the dimensions get a little bit, longer and more, and that's how you get into eventually a class 1. And that's where they're hauling like the blades that you see, not consistently all the time, but that's what I'm saying is available when it is. So that's what I mean when I say, class 4, class 3, class 2, class 1.
So every one of those is a promotion, and
Yes.
so just to make sure we've answered your question, Alan, so when you start out as a class 4, you can move up to 10 foot wide. After you've pulled 5 loads of the next class, which is up to 12 foot wide, then you get promoted to a class 3. Then when you go up to 14 feet wide, then you get promoted to a class 2. So we want to train you so we're not jumping you too quickly, but that's kind of how it works is every time that you gain a class, you're allowed to then start hauling the next size larger than that. And then when you successfully have done that, then you get that formal promotion. And so that's what we really think is cool about about our frankly speaking, our flatbed specialized and heavy haul division is the career path is really long. Mark, thanks for the call out. I appreciate it. Hey, June, so you and I know each other. So what's coming for lease and owner ops for vans? That's a pretty broad question. I'm not sure specifically what you're asking. What I will tell you is this: we continue to have our 1 year and our 1 or 2 year lease program where there's no money down, there's no credit check. Our completion bonuses, we believe, are second to none that are out there. And as you know, the purpose that we do this 1 year lease is primarily for a new owner operator or independent contractor. This is a nice transition to, I call it a courtship. Who can't do a year? And after a year, if you like what you got, you get that $4,000 completion bonus. If you decide to do a 2 year, end up getting a total of an $8,000 completion bonus. And a lot of our new lease drivers then put that money down, put skin in the game. And as far as we've talked a little bit about what we call our TAP program. We own the local Freightliner here, and we do a financing package to what we call our Top Anderson Performers. And after you're with us for a year, you qualify to go ahead and purchase a truck. I got a driver that I'm very good friends with that has done, I think, 14 1-year leases with us because he just likes getting a new truck every year. But the reality is he doesn't ever care about paying it off as long as he can run as an independent contractor. But listen, you definitely have got my contact details, June, and if you've lost them, just remember, send a note, or I can drop a note to you. I can look you up. But if there's more that I didn't get to that you were hoping for me to address, just send me a note or send me an email. That hasn't changed. It's still just joe@atsinc.com. Looks like you're getting a couple call outs, Holly.
Hey, Willie.
So Ella, huge question.
Yes.
Listen, home time, we love people that are talking to about that. So Anderson Trucking is definitely a company that we are a true over-the-road trucking company. However, 2 weeks is to be able to make the earnings that we talk about and what we advertise. As long as you're willing to be out 2 weeks at a time, every week out, it's a day and a half at home. So you're out 14 days, you go through the house for 3 days. We got some drivers that stay out, 3 weeks. We got some drivers that stay out 3 months. But as long as your lifestyle is okay with running 2 weeks at a time before you get through the house, our system is set up for exactly that. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
And to add to that, we do have drivers that are obviously serving. So your fleet manager is going to work with you when you've got to do drills and such. I just added another guy that's coming in with us here in a couple of weeks, and we're working with him, and we have many like that. So that's a relationship there where you just got to be open and say, hey, I have got an anniversary coming up. This is I've got a birthday. This is when I'd like to take my home time. As long as, like Joe said, you're out your time, they're going to work with you in your home time. It's not forced like that. This is when you have to go home. This is how this is when you have to do your anniversaries and your birthdays. It's not like that. So.
Right. And I want to add something. So, hey, David, I appreciate you kind of perking in because that's a great point. So, if you're looking at, the home time as being a big deal for you, do understand that if you go to our Drive for ATS website, we've got hiring areas that show you exactly where we're hiring and where we are not. I want to be crystal clear. If it's red, meaning that you're not in our hiring area, it's because we cannot commit to you getting home at least every 2 weeks. But like you said, David, if you're living on the outskirts of our hiring area, sometimes being out 3 weeks, but we tell you that right up front that you're right on the edge of a good freight base for us. And all we're trying to do is prevent unnecessary deadhead, because the more that you're deadheading to get to the house versus us getting freight to take you through the house, That's just stealing out of your pocket. So that's why we have our no hiring areas. But I will tell everybody that's watching, if you're in the red, but you're somebody who stays out quite a bit longer than that, let us know. Give us the opportunity, because as a privately held company, we kind of set our guidelines to make sure that we can deliver to a new driver. But your circumstances might be different to where, based on how long you're willing to be out, we might be able to work with you even if you're in a no hire area.
Yeah,
So I hope
relates
that
back
helps.
to that fit, like Joe was saying earlier. As long as we're a fit for each other, sometimes we can make exceptions.
Yep. Ms. Robinson, you got a question about, can I bring a child? So yes, you can. We definitely have got a passenger policy for both company and our lease drivers. A couple of the requirements, obviously, is you can only have one passenger with the truck with you, and I believe that the current minimum age is 10 years old.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You have to have their documentation, obviously, like their birth certificate, and get them signed up in orientation. But yes.
Good. Well, and we're getting down to the last few minutes. We love staying committed to these things every Thursday at 11 o'clock. I guess I want to just tee something up. So, Holly, you were bringing something up about what we're going to be doing next week, Thursday. Do you remember what that was?
We were going to touch back on our, well, if it's an announcement by then, with the pay and whatnot. And my phrase I like to use on that was, here you get to work smarter, not harder. So maybe that can be the title.
Well, there you go. So work smarter, not harder is going to be our title for next week. And I do see the question from you, Chuck. So I'm going to answer that. But what I want to just kind of get back to is, yes, we have some additional new pay programs that are getting ready to roll out. Until they're official, I don't want to talk about them. So if I'm hoping that the decision is made by tomorrow or maybe Monday. So if nothing else, maybe that gets you interested in coming back and seeing us again next Thursday.
Cliffhanger.
Hey, cliffhanger, I love it. Hey, Chuck. So force dispatch ? So I'm gonna talk really straight here. For our contractors, we use the word no force dispatch. You get to pick and choose your freight. But I want to, I talk to more and more of our company drivers, and yes, company drivers, if you want to use the word as force dispatch, yes. But I've never had so many of our company drivers tell me that they've got a lot of choice in what freight they're hauling. So it's not like just this is the load you're on. You just don't ask questions. If you're trying to get through a certain area, you'd like to try to get out to the West Coast and hit the mountains. You're trying to get up to a certain area to see your family.
Yep, friends.
Right?
Yep.
We got drivers saying, hey, next load that you got going up to Alaska, any chance you can get me on it? Your fleet managers are going to try to put you on the freight that you're looking at haul. So force dispatch is a pretty ugly word, but we understand what it means. And some of you guys have worked for some carriers that it probably feels like the negative. But contractors, no force dispatch. Company drivers, yes, force dispatch. But
we're going to work with you.
Right. You got choices. Let's see here. Yes, but glad you're good with your freight manager. They will help you with that. Yeah, you guys, that's why I love our drivers that join us too. You guys be very clear. We've got on our Facebook page, our Drive for ATS Facebook page, we got so many of our drivers that are willing to talk to any candidates that are looking at joining Anderson Trucking. I've never felt more supported than I do by our current drivers. And so appreciate you guys kind of calling out and kind of reconfirming what me and Holly are talking about right now.
They are a great resource. So they're out there face to face on ground zero with everything. So if you see one of our drivers, don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. The worst they can say is, no, I'm not going to share the great things here at ATS with you, but I highly doubt it. Like Willie's my man. He'll help you out.
Yeah. And Willie, you always say it like it is. Yeah. So I think what you're trying to say here, Willie, is long story short, your fleet manager will bend over backwards for you as long as you're working with them. Mm-hmm. If you come at us combative, there's usually not a good ending for you or for us on that. But if you're willing to try to communicate, I will tell you that we try to be second to none as far as what we're going to try to do to get a good solution for you. So, all right, you guys. Well, listen, we're coming up on 11:30. I hate to cut these off, as long as questions are coming, but the great news is next week we're actually doing 2 of these. We're going to be doing, sometimes people can't join us in the daytime. So me and Jimmy Williams are going to be doing a Facebook Live at 7 p.m. next Wednesday night. And then we'll be doing another we're going to be doing another ATS live, Ask Us Anything, on Thursday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time next week. So again, if you took the time to join us, thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
And before I get disconnected here, again, please remember, you've got comments that you didn't join us live, throw the comments out there because we're constantly monitoring and we will personally reach out and make sure that we've answered your question.
Or
Okay?
give us a call and ask for Holly.
Okay, thanks everybody.
See ya.
Thank you, Holly.